Reflecting growing sentiments within the Democrat Party, retired Supreme Court Justice John Paul Stevens recently, in an op-ed for the New York Times, declared that gun control demonstrators should demand a repeal of the Second Amendment as it is a relic of the 18th century. Stevens' argument is that the Second Amendment, as ratified in 1791, was never meant to protect an individual's right to own weapons, but was meant solely for a well-regulated militia. Bull! Here are the facts versus Stevens' fiction. While it is true that the Second Amendment dealt with a well-regulated militia, when our founding fathers wrote the amendment, militias were composed of individuals who owned their weapons and were expected to bring those weapons to battle. Fact. The very essence of our 18th century militias was the individual's ownership of firearms. Individual gun ownership was commonplace during our revolution's birth, as our citizens understood the right to bear arms was the key in preserving liberty over tyranny. Fact. Samuel Adams at the Massachusetts Ratifying Convention declared, "The Constitution shall never be construed to prevent the people of the United States from keeping their own arms." Fact. Noah Webster, during the ratification debate, opined, "Before a standing army can rule, the people must be disarmed, as they are in every kingdom in Europe. The supreme power in America cannot enforce unjust laws by the sword because the whole body of the people are armed." Fact. Similar understandings of the right of the people to bear arms can also be found in the writings of George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Patrick Henry, James Madison, George Mason, and many, many other founding fathers. Former Vice President Joe Biden also added his 2 cents to the mix, saying, quote, "I think the Second Amendment being very badly interpreted. It is not consistent with our founders intended. In my view, what's happened here is the nation as a whole has decided it can no longer continue to turn a blind eye to the prostitution of the Second Amendment. It is this bogus and distorted history of our founders' original intent, as shamefully presented by John Paul Stevens and Joe Biden, that reflects the radical and big government agenda of progressive Democrats that must never be allowed to strip us of our God-given right to protect our lives, our family, and our property." I'm Dr. Jake Jacobs. We'll see you next time on One Nation.